So I'm here with Win, my senior tax advisor, and we want to talk through QSBS, which is something that's huge for business owners that are looking to exit. And so I want to just kind of walk through some of the things like what it is, who it's for, what are the benefits to the business owner, how do we establish one, and then what are some people that we need to get involved as this thing is being set up. So tell me, Win. So let's just start from the top about QSBS, what it is, qualified small business stock, and the strategy behind all of it. So let's talk a little bit about what it is.
All right. Thank you, Jeremy, for having me here today. So basically, with the QFBS, what it is, it qualifies small business stock under the Internal Revenue Code Section 1202. So what it does is that it potentially can help the original shareholder of a corporation to exclude up to 100% of all of their capital gain when they sell the business, right?
Oh, okay.
This strategy is a very good strategy, and it's a strategy that the business owner, when they start thinking about exit, they have to plan way for a long time. It's not a strategy that you can do on a tax return on that day,
Right.
but you have to plan it out for multiple years.
Yeah, it takes time to get it in
Right.
place. Yeah.
And because the threshold and the timeline for you to be able to qualify for the treatment is that you have to hold a stock for 5 years at least.
Okay.
Right.
Okay.
After 2025, now that we're in 2026, for new stock that will issue in 2026, you potentially can exclude up to 50% of the capital gain if you hold it for 3 years, 70% if it's 75 year, and 100% if you are 5 years, right?
Oh.
So yeah, they make it a little.
Okay, say that.
better.
Say that part again. Say that part again. So 50% for 3 years.
Yes, if you own the stock, if the stock will issue in 2026, and if you own it for 3 years, now you can actually exclude up to 50% of the gain.
Okay.
If it's 4 years or more,
Yeah.
then you can exclude up to 75%, and if more than 5 years, of course, you get that 100%.
Wow.
treatment.
That's huge.
But there's a cap to it.
Yeah.
The maximum amount that you can exclude is about $10 million if the stock is before 26, and after 26, it went up to about 15 million.
Nice. Nice. So, and that's the capital gains.
Yeah.
Right? And that's not necessarily the entire amount of the sale. So there's still going to be some, let's just say your basis in a company, and basis is a whole nother topic, but let's just say your basis in a company is 30 million, and you sell it for, you sell it for 50 million, right? So there's a $20 million gap in there. But what you're saying is, based on this, if we're excluding 100% because we're above that 5 years, then we're looking at a good chunk of that, up to $15 million of that $20 million capital gain that we're able to exclude.
Yes, that's correct.
Man, that's amazing. So what is the entity type that this makes sense for?
So in the code, the cleanest one is a corporation tax as a C corp.
Okay.
That's the most cleanest one, and that is where the most QSBS strategy is utilized, because the requirement is for it to be a C corp, right?
Okay. C corp.
Now with an LLC that taxed as a C corp, potentially yes, you're still eligible for it because you're taxed as a C corp, but there will have to be a little bit review that we have to look through, because it depends on how the ownership of your the type of ownership that you have within your business, within your LLC. Is it like a membership interest or stock interest?
Okay.
Those are the things that we have to look at, because for the QSBS, it's exclusively for stock interest.
Gotcha.
Right.
Gotcha. Okay. So the business owner themselves, like what is the business owner, just some of the benefits? I mean, of course, the capital gains piece, but I mean, is this something that's really difficult to put together? What are some of the benefits for the business owner, and how do you shape this up?
So one of the 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 benefit for the owner, especially for this strategy, the way that I view it is that is for it benefit the founder of a business,
Okay.
right? They put the sweat in to build up this business, and when it's time for them to actually exit, it can potentially put more money in their pocket with
Right.
the exclusion.
Right.
So that is the number one benefit that I think about all the time for our business owner. The other thing is that because it will be treated as a C corp, yes, there are a pros and cons as a C corp, but in order for us to actually see the full pictures, either your CPA or your tax advisor, they will have to look at your whole picture and what your exit plan looks like to be
Mm-hmm.
able to see if this strategy is an actual good fit
Right.
for you.
And the benefit of getting started early is that you have the time that you need to make those shifts.
Right,
And so that's
exactly.
why we're always talking with business owners and just kind of saying, okay, hey, here's something that we need to think about early on versus when you're actually ready to exit your business, we're kind of, it's too late. You know, we're,
Yep.
we're up against the wall
Yep,
with that.
exactly. Like I said, these are the strategy that you have to plan for a long time
Right.
in order to maximize potential,
Yeah.
5 years or more. So, but for typical business, that's a typical time when an owner should start thinking about exit planning. Either they
Yeah.
passing it down to their childrens or they looking to sell the
Right.
business.
Right. And something that you said that I want to make sure that we really hit on and just spend just a few seconds on is the fact that we really want to make sure that we're taking care of the founders of these
Right.
companies. And this is one of those strategies that does that specifically for the founder because the founder goes through a lot of sacrifice and building it up. There's a lot of blood, sweat, and tears and different things that happen. Um, and a lot of times, they get to the table, the negotiation table, and they're ready to get out and they're just like, okay, I'm just going to take whatever's left, right? But this is one of those strategies where it's very proactive, depending on when we can get started with it, and we're able to say, okay, we want to make sure you're taken care of as you exit, not only from the standpoint of we want to make sure we're maximizing the value, but then on the taxation side that you're actually able to keep a lot of those gains and you're not paying taxes on it. And so I think this is something that is super beneficial and it's a great strategy to utilize. So how do we get this established? What are the other, and I'm going to roll these two together, but how is this QSBS, how is it established and what other professionals need to be involved as we're building this thing out?
So, in order for you to get to utilize the strategies, of course, we'll have to look at your, like I said, your formation document. What
Okay.
entity structure uh, are you right now? Does it make sense for you to become a C corp?
Right.
And then when you become, if like I said, if you are a corporation and you tax as a C corp, that's the cleanest way,
Yeah.
right? We don't have to do a lot of setting up or anything like that. But the majority of small business that I've seen, if they are an LLC.
Yeah.
So with an LLC, you can elect to be treated differently with the how your income to be taxed.
Mm-hmm.
It can be an S corp, a partnership, or you can elect to be a C corp.
Right.
So if you are an LLC, the process is a little bit more involved,
Right.
and
Yeah.
of course, the professional that will be able to help you through all this process is going to be your CPA, your tax advisor, and also the business attorney as well.
Yep.
Because with the business attorney, they will be able to draft the information document, the operating agreement, and everything like that. For the CPA like us, like our firm, will be able to go in there looking at how it's going to affect your tax rate year by
Right.
year, how it's going to save you, what the most tax efficient way to implement the strategies.
Yep. Yeah. Yeah, that's going to be important, and we'll do some other, have some other conversations around how to increase the value and do all of that. One other person that I would rope into this, especially as we're thinking about this long term, would also be like a wealth manager.
Hmm.
And because now we're talking about going back to that example, we have, $50 million. What are we going to do with this
Right.
$50 million, right? What's going to happen with it? And there are some other people that need to kind of get involved just long term and talking about now, because you've been working in this business for X amount of years. Now you're not. So what do you do there? That's a different conversation. But just looking at the money, I think the wealth manager is going to also play a key role in
Right.
this, to say that because some of the other strategies that we can look at and how to utilize that 50 mil that's now going to be coming in, there are some other strategies that we can put in place to where potentially that entire amount can be tax deferred,
Right.
right? And so it's going to be important to have those key people. So CPA, tax strategist,
Financial
the
advisor.
the financial advisor, business attorney,
Right.
getting involved in that process is going to be critical. And then, of course, when you're going through the transaction, you're going to be dealing potentially with a broker or lender or something like that, and that's another conversation. But it sounds like QSBS is definitely a good, strong strategy that business owners need to think through.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Like I said, at some point when you start a business, at some point you have to look into what your exit plan is going to be.
Right.
And by having all that professional with you, work with you, and get to know more about these strategies like the QSBS that we talked about today, can maximize your benefit over the long run,
Right.
right? So yeah, if you want to, so I would say, um, yes, exit planning is something that you have to think about throughout the course of your business.
Yeah.
It's not gonna be a short-term things, and yeah.
Yeah, it's I said this in another video, and I'll put it here too. But I think it's important to think about, just kind of along with what you're saying. So if you're an architect and you're building a house, you're going to build doorways to get into the house, and you're going to build doorways to get out of the house. And I think it's the same thing when it comes to owning a business. Is you have to think about, okay, here's what it's going to take to get in, but I also need to consider how I get out of the house. I had a conversation with someone the other day that's also in the M&A space, and they said that your business is either going to sell or fail.
Mm-hmm.
And so you're going to exit. And what we're doing is trying to help the business owner, the founder, control the narrative of how they exit.
Mm-hmm.
And I think this is one of those great ways to do it. So awesome, man. Appreciate your time, Win. Let's get back to it. We got work to do.